No one has brought up a couple of things. The money, and no one as a solution, okay, to a lot of problems, our monetary, and no one really has significantly brought up China. And in fact, the success of China. China is succeeding in a way. China right now is America in the 20s and the 30s. They have built 1 million miles of superhighway. And this is all since 1988. China is, the only thing China is failing at right now is human rights. In every other way,
just like America was during the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I mean, China, see, America entered, does anyone here know what MMT is?
Modern monetary theory.
Yeah, and America entered the era of modern monetary theory in 1971. I mean, does anyone else here see 1971 as a significant moment in American history? Probably the most epical shift.
If I remember correctly, the dollar was taken off the gold standard permanently.
Yep, it's called the Nixon shock. Yep. And that was when America entered the era of, as Neil Kashkari says, infinite money. Neil Kashkari just went on 60 Minutes and said, America, I have infinite money. The powers that legislated themselves in 1971, infinite money, told a huge lie to the American public. They kept the power of MMT to themselves, and they told the American public that they're still on the gold standard, that we have to tax you in order to have good things. We have to take one thing from you so that we can give something else. That is bullshit. And the thing is, China has not been living under that lie. Their government is working so tight with the banks. They fund everything. The Chinese banking system writes off so much debt you wouldn't fucking believe it. But they don't give a fuck because they are building an incredible nation right now. Everyone in China is richer than they were. Everyone, from the poorest person in the middle of Shitsville, China, with a bison and wooden wheeled carts and shit. Everyone is doing better in China. I can't believe that no one is talking about the money. And to me, that is the one place where you can have concrete, immediate solutions, not wishy-washy, feely, social, I don't feel good because you said that. Oh, I'm mad because you...
At the same time, China does have...
There would be less racism in the country if people got a fair fucking wage and they didn't have to go into debt servitude to have a credit card to prop up the bullshit American dream. There'll be less drug abuse. I guarantee if you really reflect on what happened from 1971 to now, that is the turning point, and it's the Federal Reserve lying about the money and pulling the complete wool over the rest of our eyes. And what have they... I have never heard the government complain for endless war. I've never heard them say, well, shit, we got to raise taxes and find out how we're going to keep these guys in Afghanistan for 10 years. Oh, no. I've never heard America complain, oh, how are we going to fund Homeland Security? How are we going to pay for all this surveillance state terrorism that is the blowback of bad foreign policy that is endless fucking war?
I guess I like the idea that like the average Chinese or like the average like working class Chinese person's life is really great is like a little iffy. I mean,
they do better than it was in 1971.
Well, China does have this very like extensive sort of forced labor system called the hukou system. You can look it up if you want. But like a lot of like your points really do resonate with me. As far as like, I guess if you want to circle back to the drug thing,
and we can quickly get back to the Rothschilds. Wasn't it Amschel Rothschild who said, I don't give a shit about the society or the government. If I control the money, I got it. Boom. That's all I give a shit.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, absolutely.
But that is a common sentiment. Like I would imagine you can find very distasteful quotes from a lot of mega elites that are easy to fit into a narrative out of context. Here's the thing. The central banks are a problem. Like I'm against the central banks, but there's also like so many Rothschilds, and like families are not monolithic the same way that like people like and institutions aren't monolithic. Like it's very rare for like one family to like live with each other their entire lives, as opposed to you have these families where it's like, their kids go to boarding school, then they're off at college, and then they're, just like all living separately, like in different states or different countries even, right?
And not for the common person.
Some families are like Succession. What is that? The new HBO show. And then some families like don't share anything at all, right? There's no family business. It's like, oh, if you're show interest in it when you're younger, like learn about it. And if you don't learn about it, like don't worry about it. Like, and these are companies and just like mega companies in general. Like, this is only interesting, I think, to people if you follow people like Bill Gates a lot and Warren Buffett, who advocate for like major estate taxes, where you've cultivated a political party on the far left that celebrates ending billionaires. And basically anybody that's mega rich, right, is assumed to have like moral failings to be that successful at all, right? Behind every fortune's a major crime. And I think that this can make, again, diagnosing specifics difficult, as in it can be effective for like having a lingering cloud over a subject. But if you want to have any understanding of the subject at all, you're going to have to like get past this like illusory mystique that people have from rumor mongering and just like get to specifics.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah, no,
I mean, I'm gonna.
Cutting through minutia
Okay.
is absolutely essential. Like you just mentioned Warren Buffett. I can tether that directly to China and my next point because I've been sitting on it since Alex, which was a very good rant, by the way. Like the idea of Warren Buffett building that empire. I used to work for one of Warren Buffett's subsidiary company. Used to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners, right? And what they literally were is $2,400 blocks of debt. And all we would do is sign up to find a way for you to do a deal with a third-party company who would sell you out $2,400 worth of debt, and you would develop a payment plan to pay it off. Now, if we could sell it down, I could sell it for as little as like $800 cash and still get a profit. But it was ideal that I set you up on a payment program at $15 for the next 6 years every month until you eventually default on it and miss one payment. Then they get to come after you for everything. And that ties directly into the fiat currency system we now live in which if we handed in every dollar, our national debt would go back to zero. You just keep pumping it back through, and our domestic product has nothing to do with our international product. We're just like, we're trading company chits in the company stores spending gold coins. We're fucked. But beyond that aspect, I would say to tie it directly to China, not only do they not use that system, but I mean, it's an unfortunate fact, but like hard fascism from your government works. And especially if you have a 50-year to 100-year goal plan like China has, their 100-year plan, their 1947 plan to 2047 is going to be a hell of a year, man. 2047 is going to be very interesting because China vowed after World War II they were going to turn it around, and they started working really hard, and they're starting to see the fruits of their labor. I mean, they're moving into the India Sea, the South China Sea. They're moving around the other side of Japan. Japan's now buffing up its own military because China just built new ICBMs and intercontinental missiles. Their whole fleet has just tripled itself. They're inducting more citizenry into their military than any other country on the planet right now. And if you look at it in a scaled timeline, man, Xi Jinping has really been going on it. Everyone in his own brigade that's been caught hoarding gold, look up China associate gold arrested or any variation of those terms. That anyone that's been stealing anything from the government in China, they've been stealing precious metals. They've been getting caught up in it because the government's doing this whole purge myself decimation thing every step of the way, like a caterpillar or a snake shedding skin. It keeps rebuilding itself, and it bases most of itself off the theft of intellectual property. Look at all the Harvard professors. 56 Harvard professors were just arrested doing dirty business with China. 56 were just arrested doing business with China, including virologists who had connections to labs. So we're talking about biospecific weapons with people that study biospecific viruses and not neurotoxins, prion viruses that develop in your brain, like the cuckoo laughing sickness. Fucked up shit. And they're selling it backwards, not just so that they can implement what we're working on, but so that we will teach what they want us to know. We talk about putting ceilings on ideas. Jules, you're a big fan of that concept. You bring it up over and over, how linguistically I choose to influence people, however I will choose, depending not only on my cadence, but the pattern of my speech. So if I drop the pressure and the anxiety from my voice, and I bring you in to tell you and explain in cold terms that there is another country who not only understands the way that
warm terms,
that look, there is another country that's aware of how the United States functions. It knows how we function on an interpersonal level because they make the money from hip hop and sneakers and basketball. They determine who buys the iPhones that are made by child labor and then who uses those iPhones to film other people calling them fascists. Do you not see the ridiculous level of thumb in buttery we have found, in which we are fighting over concepts created in other countries who are booming as they move into monotheism, secular, one-minded, purge everyone that doesn't get along, only one child per family. Like, they're getting into it, man. And people talk about how we need to be more accepting and more tolerant and more liberal over here. That promotion is coming from our enemy, who is becoming less tolerant and less liberal. So do you see how it's almost as if you can use psychology as a weapon to weaken a nation while your nation becomes the opposite of what you promote elsewhere? It's like, hey, I ridicule someone else for not eating enough sugar when in fact I know that oh geez.
No, you're still here. I mean, your camera's off, but when in fact, here we go.
When I know for a fact that the thing I'm ridiculing you for is not good for you. I'm criticizing you for not smoking weed. I'm criticizing you for not taking the knee. I'm criticizing you for not doing whatever this thing is. In reality, it's inherently bad for you. Like, the whole thing seems backwards because we're watching someone who, you're right, they're succeeding. Militarily, they're succeeding alone. If you want to talk about World War III, hop in the car, bitches, we're going shopping. Like, we're looking at Pakistan and Korea. We're looking at Pakistan and Kashmir. We're looking at North Korea, South Korea. We're looking at Russia, Ukraine, Russia, Crimea. I mean, that's old, but we're looking at Syria still. We're looking at Iran neighboring and shoving shoulders with everyone around them. But the 57 states of Qatar are moving like a mailed fist. We're looking at an entire global shift towards not just communism or socialism or capitalism, but I would say towards populism or just something more, an ambiguous something more. So there's globalism promising something more, definitely going to deliver something less.